You're listening to Your Purpose and Business podcast, where we connect you to possibilities. I'm your host, Raquel Walters, a two-time best-selling author, millennial speaker, corporate trainer, advocate, and clinical social worker at heart. Your Purpose and Business podcast will connect you with everyday successful people who will share their impactful stories, insights, challenges, failures, and triumphs on how they're navigating the working world, whether by climbing the 9 to 5 corporate ladder or starting, growing, and scaling their business. So grab your pen and notebook because you'll want to implement the nuggets and tools, strategies shared in every episode. Class is in session. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Your Purpose and Business podcast. My name is Raquel Walters. I'm your host today, and I'm so excited because I am with a dear friend from high school. Oh my gosh, we're dating ourselves probably 15
Yes.
years or so. Renee, her name is
Yes.
Renee Miller, and she's just a beauty. She's a gem, and I can't wait for us to dive in to ask her some questions regarding her life and business. And so Renee Miller is the CEO of Wheels of Nature, and this is an online mobile organic personal care and cosmetic products company whose mission is to provide healing, hydrating, and safe products that may be used by the entire family. All of her products are handcrafted, people, by Renee specifically, and are made from 100% natural ingredients, and they are specifically formulated for persons who are dealing with eczema, stretch marks, sensitive skin, dry skin, and hair. Renee is also known for her body butters, but she also makes beard oils and moisturizing hair butters. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Renee, that just sounds delicious. Skin
Oh,
care, everything. So, Renee
yes.
Miller, welcome, Renee. We're so excited to have you on today.
Thank you so much, Raquel. I mean, I am super duper humbled. I must admit, I was a bit surprised that you reached out to me simply because, I still consider myself, just a little country girl that's trying to make it in a big world. And so, I sometimes still forget that persons are looking on and do see the impact of what little quote unquote that I am doing now. And I'm just really grateful that you reached out. So thank you for having me.
Ah, you are welcome. I see that you're doing amazing things in the world, and I couldn't wait to offer the invite. And I'm so honored that you accepted. So it's an honor and it's a pleasure. So
Awesome.
thank you, thank you. So Renee, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know you said country girl right there. Tell us
Yes.
something that we don't know about you that's not written in the bio, if you may.
All right. So I know there may be persons who are not Jamaican who would be listening and possibly watching this. So I am Jamaican, living in Jamaica. I am from what we would term as the rural side of the island, country, as most people here would say. And I'm now living in the city in Kingston, and I am a proud country girl. There are really, really apparent, qualities that I believe will make us country girls, a little different from the city girls. But, I digress. Just to say, I am a proud country girl and I hold on to those values very dearly.
Hey, yes, and for the listeners who don't know or who haven't heard the accent yet, I am also Jamaican. Just to give you a little backstory, Renee and I both went to the same high school, Glenmere High School in Clarendon, Jamaica, and we lived in the same community, growing up in the same community, housing community. So, she's been a long time friend. We're not always in contact, but however, we are still in contact whenever we need to be, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing the bond and the journey that to get here. And it's
Right.
my pleasure to have Renee here. You can just hear the excitement in my voice. I'm just super pumped up, super excited. And
Yes.
so, Renee, I wanted to dive in a little bit. This
Sure.
podcast mission is all about finding your purpose, chasing that dream. And,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes that's a big question in our daily lives. Growing up, even probably for some people now, it's still questioning, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And at
Yeah.
times it's a little bit difficult or challenging to define. But what I want to pose to you is, what do you think your purpose is in the world today?
Okay. I know a lot of persons struggle with that question, and I do believe that there is even a beauty in just struggling to find out what your purpose is. I think oftentimes we pressure ourselves so much if we believe that we're at a certain age and we don't know our purpose. We sometimes are daunted or we get, sad and frustrated with ourselves about it. But I'm just saying to persons who are listening, don't beat up on yourself too much. There is no set timeline to find out what your purpose is, but it will come to you, and it will come to you through what makes you happy, what you're passionate about. You're doing it and it doesn't feel like work, essentially. And it could come from a spiritual side of things, and it could come from a professional, point of view. But for me, I find that I grew up in the church. I was baptized at a really young age, and so from a spiritual side of things, for me, that's a big part of who I am, and I've always believed that a part of my purpose and my journey here is just through communicating. In high school, I would always get in trouble for talking. And I don't know if there are other persons who are like yourself who will do public speaking and stuff like that. Our teachers would tell us you talk too much, but sometimes you're born with that gift, the gift of gab, quote unquote. And
Right.
sometimes is what you grow into, and that takes you into your professional career and your purpose. So for me, I've always known that I was a good communicator, and
Mm-hmm.
that manifested itself through even me becoming a content writer and pursuing things of that nature in my profession. And
Mm-hmm.
then I've also been involved in sales, and that's also big on communication. You have to be able to talk to people and to sell what it is you're selling. And I remember learning this in one of my sales trainings, and it's so true because people buy from who they like.
Right.
So if you can't talk to people and if you can't relate and bond on something that is unique to both of you in that sales call, you
Mm-hmm.
probably won't get the sale because
Right.
people
Right.
buy from who they like. So I said all of this to say that growing up being a talker, has kind of led me into my purpose of communicating, writing, selling, and even my own business now where I have to sell.
Yes.
So, and of course I'm obsessed with anything natural. So I know that a big part of my purpose and sharing just joy is through my business and sharing products that are natural and healthy for person's hair and their skin.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. You said a bunch there, and I wanted to just dissect it a little bit. So, for persons who are listening that are saying, okay, well, maybe I'm not a talker. I am probably a quote unquote shy person or quiet person. And oh my gosh, I get very anxious and nervous when I have to open up my mouth and speak to even one person, get alone a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, what advice would you say, or how was it that were you able to like kind of come out of that shell, even though you identified yourself as a talker, but as far as
Yeah.
that confidence building behind that, did you have any
Hmm.
difficulties with that? And if so, could you share with the audience? Because I feel like there's some people, especially like myself, I can remember I was
Yeah.
quiet, and it was through experiences, sorry, growing up, that I have learned that I have to speak up. A closed mouth never get fed, as my mother said that
True.
all the time. So I had to
That's
learn
true.
that way, and in turn, there were certain series of things that I did to build up my confidence. But for
Yeah.
you, I wanted to find out, did you have any challenge with that?
Um, I think initially I did because I remember at a very early age, my mom would always take me aside at home to kind of I guess, do run throughs of or practicing things that I would need to say or performances because I used to dance when I was younger. So performing arts, that was a big part of my early childhood. And, my mom would say, you need to do it this way, you need to do it that way. Or if I had to even recite, poetry or something that's, pertaining to public speaking, my mom played a very big role in, helping me to rehearse and helping me to boost my confidence, so I owe a lot of who I am right now. Even my personality, I think, has a lot to do with my mom just always being there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Just an add-on question, what would you say to somebody who probably didn't have that,
yeah,
great support system? I know you mentioned your mom that helped you, she
yeah,
put you in performing arts for after school dance programs and such that helped you to boost your confidence and to be in front of people. But for someone that is in their 20s or maybe in their 30s and they're still battling or struggling with that,
mhm.
what one or two tips or advice you would lend to them to say, okay, try this, or do that?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question because, we're also very different. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, hey, maybe you could try to find a mentor. But if you are indeed struggling as an introvert, then, and trying to push yourself out there, it's easier said than done. But I always say that God has not given me a spirit of fear.
Yeah.
As I say, I operate from a very spiritual place. And so if you guys believe in God, and you know that it is true, God has not given us a spirit of fear. So we have to dig deep for those who are introverts. You have to just dig deep and try to find that one person that you would want to emulate, somebody that you really admire and think that, hey, that's somebody that you'd want to try to get to where they are. Seek them out, whether it's by email, telephone call, or going up to them, even though I know you guys might be scared to do that. But try to find a way to get a mentor, perhaps, or try to find a person that you really admire and see how you can connect with them, for them to kind of groom you.
Yeah, those are great suggestions and advice, and I can see all of them being applicable to anyone that's an introvert or identify themselves that way. And a
Mhm.
part of it is also knowing that you have to stretch yourself outside your comfort zone. So it's not going to be
Right.
comfortable, but the more you do things repeatedly, then it gets a little bit easier. However,
Easier.
everyone is not the same, so your approach may be different. But I love that. So there's other few things that you did say in there. You said content writing. You do content writing, and of course sales. Tell us a little bit about that, and because I want to piece it all together as far as your purpose today.
All right. So, I was telling you that a lot of times when you're a child, things will come out of your personality that you don't even realize will eventually tie into your purpose. So when I was in high school, I think maybe in upper school, well, we call it fourth and fifth form. I'm not sure what grades those are
Mhm.
in the US. But yeah, close to when you're graduating from high school.
Yeah.
I started writing short stories because I've always loved to read, and as I said, I've always loved to express myself, communicate, chat, you know. So I started writing short stories, and a couple of my friends, they would say, "So where is part two? We want to know what happened next and all that." And I used to write a lot of poetry, but that kind of paused as I got older. And I remember when I was gearing up to go to college, I actually really wanted to go to um, Carimac in Jamaica. That's an arm of the University of the West Indies. It's basically where you go if you want to do journalism or if you want to work in media. And I really wanted to do that. And my dad, very traditional, he wanted me to do law, because he's like, you need to have a profession. You either need to be a doctor, a lawyer, teacher, a nurse, etc. So he really wanted me to do law. I wanted to do journalism. And I remember some recruits came to my high school and they told me that those two programs, media and law, they were both very competitive and I had to choose one. So I actually chose law, trying to, to please my dad. And I wasn't successful, but I had gotten through for my second choice, which was international relations, just another degree. And I ended up doing my second selection as a degree. And I was happy while doing it,
Mhm.
because as I said, I was always dancing. So I was even dancing at college. And people would say, then why aren't you doing that joint program with Edna Manley, which is the local performing arts school? So they had a joint program with Edna Manley and the University of the West Indies. So most persons who would be like me, that's what they would have been doing.
Right.
But it just never happened. And I finished, my international relations degree, not necessarily for myself, but more so for my mom, because my mom paid for everything. Thank God I didn't have student loans to deal with, which is a biggie for most of us, who finish college. It's really stressful. So I am just really grateful to my mom that I never had that to deal with. But like I said, I've just always had the desire to express myself in that regard, whether it's through just talking or writing. So, I had fairly good jobs out, out, out of college. By the way, I'm a mother, so I actually had a child right after college.
Mhm.
So, of course, I had to focus on ensuring that she was okay and taken care of. So, being hired and having a job was of utmost importance. I had to kind of put my dreams, quote unquote, on pause. So I started working and I was okay. But like I said, that desire and yearning to write was still there. And so I
Mhm.
ended up, or sorry, God placed me at a company, Yellow.
Mhm.
Most persons know it as Yellow Pages.
Okay.
And Yellow Pages eventually evolved into a media house. So that's the irony of it all, or just
Wow.
the whole how God is just good, just worked it out that way.
Mhm.
And I ended up finding a mentor within the company.
Mhm.
And she was a part of the content writing team. So I would always see her in the gym and I would always wonder like, how am I gonna talk to this lady? And I mean, she having her personal time in the gym. So
Mhm.
do you really want to talk about
Right.
work? But I wanted to do it, and I just mustered up the courage, and I went over to her and I said, "Hey, Diana, that's her name." And I said, "Hey, Diana, I like to write, and I want the opportunity to write for the company, and I'll even do it for free." That's how much I wanted to do it, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Sure." And I couldn't believe that it was that easy. I was fearful for so long, not knowing how to approach her, and I just literally bit the bullet and went to her, and the rest is history.
Wow.
So she literally kickstarted my writing career by just simply giving me a chance. And writing for free, well, writing as a ghostwriter
Mhm.
was fine for me because I just wanted to write
Right.
and she started paying me, and I never even expected that. Then she eventually recommended me to the head of the writing team, and I ended up writing for the directory. So it was just really awesome,
Mhm.
just how persons they don't even know that just a simple act of kindness can mean so much to another person because for
Right.
her it was a no-brainer to give me, content to write, not
Right.
knowing how much that meant to me and how really that's kickstarted a writing career for me.
Right. That, I mean, that story is just amazing, Renee, because it just shows how the journey of life ties into your purpose. So
Yeah,
if we were to, which we sort of are dissecting what your purpose is in the context of this podcast, it just
Mm-hmm.
amazes, it's amazing, I should say, how you wanted to do media or performing
Yeah.
arts, but then dad wanted you to do journal, become a lawyer, I should
Oh
say.
no.
And then
Yeah.
sort of the journey of life, the pathway that you took ultimately got you back to what it is that you wanted to do, which is media,
Exactly.
content writing, their sales mixed up in that. And how
Yeah.
positioning at the time, where for the company that you're working for, the person is at the gym, the same gym, like how much of a coincidence is that?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was your opportunity to muster up that courage to
Yeah.
face that fear and just to approach. The answer could have been no, but fortunately for you, it's yes. And
Yeah.
so what if it had been no? Then what would you think in retrospect?
What I would have done?
Yeah.
Um, I am a sensitive soul. Anything that I care about, oh my God, if I don't get to pursue it, after trying, um, it can hit me if I hear a no. It can really, quote unquote, pull the rug from underneath me, and I may need to process for a while to figure out what my plan B or my plan C will be, to recover. But I feel like the drive to achieve is far greater than any disappointment.
Right, right.
Because I've I've been there. Last year, for example, I resigned from Yellow Media to pursue a full-time writing career, because while I was at Yellow, I was actually doing two things.
Mm-hmm.
I was writing part-time, but my full-time job was in customer experience. So I wanted to make the transition into writing full-time.
Yeah.
So I got a job, and it just turned out to be a disaster,
Mm.
and I lost the job. I lost the job. I started that new job maybe in June, and by September I was no longer there.
Mhm.
And that I was really devastated by that.
Mhm.
Absolutely devastated. I started questioning if this was really what God wanted for me, because I'm here pushing and saying, hey, this is what I want, this is what I'm happy doing. But was it really what God wanted for me? And like I said, it really pulled the rug from underneath me, that experience. And as I said, September I was no longer working there, and I had to literally sit my own self down, like really sit myself down and talk to myself and Rain, like, what you doing? You're almost, well, I was 30 at the time because I'm 31 now, and I don't know about anybody else, but hitting that 30 marker,
Mhm.
I I started just going off, like, what am I doing with my life, and where am I with the goals that I want to achieve? My 20s are over, and I just wanted to really actively work on the things that I know would make me happy.
Mhm.
And I wanted to also be happy professionally,
Mhm.
because I spend so much time at work.
Yeah.
And for me, peace of mind is so important. And so I thought that writing would have given me that peace of mind. So when that was taken away from me, I was thinking to myself, what next? Do I continue to try to pursue a writing career? And I ended up back in sales. And I don't have any regrets, simply because I've learned so much over the past year, and it also gave me the opportunity to start my business.
Right, right.
Lovely.
And before, and that's an amazing story. And the reason why I'm sitting here just, listening to you in amazement and smiling is because I see the setup for here already, the vision.
Mhm.
Because yes, you left the Yellow Pages job, and then you went into the writing job, and it didn't work out for you, and then now you're back in sales. But if you could think about one thing that you have learned despite that
Mhm.
failure, because failure is gonna come, and no
Right.
successful person will tell you that they've never failed a billion times in life. And I'm just gonna just
Mhm.
use that word billion to just put it out there, because I
Yeah.
want the listeners to know, I know that some of them when they hit one roadblock, when they fail one time or twice, then they give up and throw in the towels. But no, you gotta get back on that field and get into
Mm-hmm.
the game. So what was one thing that you think, looking back, that you have learned from that experience, transitioning from one job to the next, and then the job that you really wanted, it just didn't work out for you?
Right. For me, my biggest motivator has always been my daughter.
Hmm.
Um, I've never had the opportunity to really wallow
Yeah,
in self-pity. So if something don't work out, you
yeah,
just on to the next thing because you have a little person, or I have a little person who is depending on me to get it together and to
right.
keep it together. So for me, if I fail at something, I just move on to the next thing. As I said, what's plan B, what's plan C? How am I
Mhm,
going to get to where I need to be? And it's not all on me either. I find that the people that you surround yourself with play a huge role on how your journey plays itself out.
mhm,
And I've been very blessed to have some good friends. And that is not to say that all my friends, um, are perfect,
mhm,
and I am not either.
mhm,
And you'll have instances where things don't work out with a friendship, but you learn from it.
mhm,
So I find that every step along the way, I've had some really good friends who've been really good supporters, who have just really poured good energy into my life, especially in times where things don't go the way that I'd want them to, and you're going through a really rough time.
mhm.
I've just been blessed to have some really good people around me at different phases in my life.
That's amazing, because that is a part of your process as far as helping you to rise up beyond your challenges. And so I heard, you didn't have any time, much time to self-loathe or to wallow in sadness or
Mm-mm.
anything like that, to use your word, because of course
So,
your daughter is your motivator, so you have to ensure that you're putting food on the table and taking care of her
mm-hmm.
and yourself.
Yeah.
Also, what I heard is supportive friends or mentors. It's
Mm-hmm.
also great to to ensure that you're in an environment that's filled with love and support, and people that can
Yeah.
not only encourage you but also listen to, because sometimes we don't look for answers, we just want someone to listen. And it's important to know the self-awareness here for you as well, and hoping that others can learn from this, that what you said before was that, okay, this didn't work, so what's plan B, what's plan C, what's plan D,
Yeah.
and just moving on to the next. So it's a series of trial and error, and then with that you gain experience and you grow from
Yes.
that. It builds your
Yeah.
character, and you know what you want from what you don't want too. I have to say that.
Yes. Yes.
So so
Absolutely.
so there's a series of things or process that you have, or guidance that's in all of what you said just now. So I wanted to ask you, what are three steps or strategies you've used that probably has supported you on your path to your successes?
Yeah. Boy, that sounds so perfect.
It
Three.
does.
And I can tell you that I am far from perfect, girl. Like I said, my journey I've been high and I've been low, and if I can just be real, sometimes I just wing it, Raquel.
Yeah.
Things happen out of nowhere that you didn't plan for, and you literally just have to figure things out during whatever it is you're going through. So I honestly cannot sit here and say that I've had a real game plan that went step by step according to how I would want it to go. But as I said earlier, my spirituality has always been the one thing that has never wavered, even when the church would have disappointed me too. Because when I got pregnant at 21,
Mhm.
I got it from the church. Like it was bad, but just as how church is just an institution made of people, it's people that are there,
Right.
it's not God.
Mhm.
So for me, I always know that God is always there with me. All I need to do is to tap into that grace and into that storehouse of blessings, and manifest those blessings that I know belong to me. And for me, failing or having a life that you term as a failure is just not an option
Mhm.
for me. I know that just being close to God in whatever way I can be and just holding on to those things, knowing that God is just there.
Mhm.
So I don't have a three-step or a strategy. It's just knowing that God is always there no matter what, and I just have to have faith.
Mhm. And the will to do and perform to the action
And
which you
will.
have
Yes.
done. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, and I love your answers because that was what I hope that you would have said. Not necessarily. I mean, this is your story and your journey. However, I wanted to highlight that nothing in life is perfect as well, and so it wasn't a question to set you up, but I'm so happy that you shared how vulnerable and how challenging at times it is, and that you
Yeah.
you lend or you look to God, to your faith to get you through. And then that sometimes some things are not planned, you just have to wing it sometime and
You
just
just have
trust
to
the
win
faith.
it.
Yeah, yeah, to believe in yourself. So I love it, Renee. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about Wheels of Nature. I know that that is your baby
Baby.
business.
My second baby, yes.
Yeah, tell us more about Wheels of Nature.
All right. So I mean, like I said, it's an online and mobile, cosmetics and personal care product store. I decided to keep it that way because I feel like having a physical store so early in the game may not necessarily be the best idea, simply because you have to think about overheads.
Right.
And how the world is set up now, you can basically do everything online. All you have to focus on is having the products delivered.
Mhm.
And so when I started officially a year ago, literally, persons probably thought that it was new, quote unquote, but it really wasn't, because I think as far back as 2015, um, my love and passion for organic, beauty products, came from me wanting to go natural.
Mhm.
And when I say natural, meaning my hair.
Yeah.
So I've always had relaxed hair from as long as I can remember, from back in high school. And as your body changes, sometimes you may have hair loss, or your hair just feels extremely dry, no matter how many fancy and expensive products you
Right.
buy.
Or
Just
thin.
nothing. Exactly. Nothing was working for me, and I considered maybe I needed to go natural as a fix. And so around 2013, I believe, was when that started for me. And I started doing so much research, and then I started paying more attention to my skin. And I've just fell in love with how much natural products could help me, because I have eczema.
Mm.
And I found that some of the things that I started using were really helping me with my eczema. And I also had stretch marks after I gave birth, and so I always wanted to fade them.
Mhm.
And so through my research, I found that a lot of things that I came across were also helping me to fade my stretch marks. So I got really, really excited about all that. I'm like, yo, I need to share this information with other people.
Yeah.
I couldn't contain it.
Mhm.
And 2015, I decided I wanted to start a blog. And at that time, I was working at Yellow Media, and my job was so demanding that when I started the blog, I had to pause the blog because work took over my life. And so that idea sat there for for years. Meanwhile, I was still at home making my own products, still experimenting on myself, and then I would bring stuff to work to share with some of my coworkers, and they would give me their feedback. So, like I said, people who surround you have a big, big part in how your journey unfolds.
Yes.
So, a lot of the feedback really helped me. And if they didn't like something, they would tell me. If it never smelled right, they would tell me. And even when I started, I wasn't perfect either. So I had to do a lot of market testing and research, even when I just started, just to perfect the product into what it is now.
Mhm.
So yeah, Wheels of Nature is just, it means a lot to me. And a lot of what has happened in this first year, I really never expected it, Raquel. I tell you, say, God is just so good because I still consider I'm a small business. In
Yeah.
Jamaica, I'm what you'd say, my company is a small business. And so I wouldn't have expected to get even media exposure this early in the game. And it's simply because of persons, even like yourself, would reach out to me and say, hey, Red, let's do something together. Or I see where you're trying and your product seems to be doing well. Would you like this opportunity to do X, Y, Z? And I said,
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
So even the other day when I got some media exposure, it was simply somebody in my network just reaching out to me and being a good Samaritan, recommending me to get featured, for my company to get featured. So Wheels of Nature for me is not supposed to remain a small business in any sense. I'd like it to be an international company.
Mhm.
But I know that Rome was not built in a day. And a part of building the brand is ensuring that persons believe in the product and that it actually works for them. And you cannot underestimate the power of referrals. I
Right.
swear to you, my business is heavily built on referrals. Sure, I may do my Instagram ads and all of that, but I honestly can share with you that referrals have been one of the biggest selling points of my product.
Yeah, and often that's the best way.
Yeah.
Just give us an overview of the products that you have right now in store.
All right. So right now, the body butter, which is the flagship product that everybody knows, that's what I started out with. That is actually in a beauty supply store here in Kingston. I'm currently working to have it in a couple other locations. I can't really share too much just yet,
Right.
but things seem to be coming together slowly but surely. So I'm hoping to be out there a little bit more by the end of the year. Um, two other products, I actually have two other products that I recently launched, I think in September. So that's the beard oil
Mhm.
and the hair butter. So the hair butter is especially special to me because, like I told you, I've been struggling with going natural.
Mhm.
I've It's been literally a goal of mine for years, from like 2013, and I finally built up the courage to do the big chop December last year. So that within itself has also been a journey for me, learning how to work it without the security of that straight natural, sorry, that straight relaxed look
Here.
that most persons accept. And I'm just kind of excited too that the world is now accepting
Right.
black women and wearing their hair in its natural form.
Mhm.
So that's also been a quite a journey for me, experimenting and figuring out what works for me, and also
Mhm.
incorporating my product because I am my own brand, and I want to show what my product has done for me
Right.
and my hair.
And I think you're doing that lovely. And underneath all of this hair piece here, I'm natural. I transitioned a year and a half ago, probably almost 2 years now. So I know the
Okay.
struggle and I know the journey.
Yes.
So I'm so happy that you are catering to people like myself and for all the other natural folks, or
Yeah.
people who are considering to transition, because
Yeah.
it's really great. And
But I
so
don't want my relaxed sisters to feel left out though, because the
yeah.
product can be used by persons with relaxed hair too. Okay, guys?
Oh, awesome. Okay. That
Yes.
no, that's also great. Great to know as well.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I just wanted to Renee, because you have an amazing story, and I loved how we sort of weaved in from, when you were younger, to your challenges, the different transition throughout your life, until
Hmm.
now, where your Wheels of Nature brand is blooming. For people who are listening, or persons who are listening and saying, okay, I'm in a 9 to 5 right now and I have ideas and I want to start a business, but I'm not sure how it is that I should go about doing so. Is there any
Hmm.
suggestions that maybe you could say to the audience who are in that space right now and trying to juggle a 9 to 5 and starting a business? Are there any first steps that you think they should consider?
Well, just start.
Mm-hmm.
That fear that you have that's literally crippling you and deterring you from making that first step, try to just push that out the door and just start. And don't worry about starting in a sophisticated way and being perfect. I think that is what holds a lot of us back, because we want to do things perfectly, and it no works so. Life is not perfect. So
It
for
no
me,
works like that.
it no works like that. You
Yeah.
have to start, just do
Yeah.
it, and have your game plan. Yes, write it down.
Mhm.
I believe in writing things down. I mean, a couple years ago, I wrote down that I wanted to have this business. And I remember even in the interview I did when I was going to Yellow. I remember in my interview with Yellow, the interviewer had asked me, where I see myself in 5 years. So this was 2015 that I did that interview. And I said to her, I want to have my own organic skincare store,
Yeah.
you know. And that interview turned into a conversation about skincare and hair care, which really excited me because that's really up my street.
Yeah.
So to find another person who also shared that passion in an interview was kind of
Right.
interesting too.
Yeah, very
So
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and this is what 4 years later, and 4 years that did not, they were not perfect. Lots of failure, lots of victories too. But just saying all that to say that nothing is perfect. Just if you have something that you want to achieve, just do it. Just try to step outside of that fear and just start.
And start. Yeah, I love it. I really do love it. I also believe in writing things down and speaking things into
And to
existence.
be, yes,
Yes, the power of speaking things is very important. And also,
yes,
too, I just wanted to just backtrack a little bit. It's also important too, when you're interviewing, guys, be yourself, be your authentic self, because look at how she still got the job, and she was able to relate with that interviewer. Not that you're gonna go out on a whim and go too much off track
yeah,
from what
yeah.
the purpose of the it is to interview to get the job. However,
Hmm.
it just shows that bring your personality inside, because employers want to see that. They
Yeah,
don't want to see just like I don't know, a wall,
robotic.
yeah, robotic
Yeah,
answers. They want to see your personalities, your interests, because they want to see how you can fit in with their culture. So that's just an additional thing I think I wanted to add there. And
yeah,
it's amazing how your story all blossom into your brand, which is really you, because it's your story that you're now offering the products based on the needs that you have,
yeah.
in order to solve problems that you had with the world. That's really what that is. So, Renee, it's been such an honor and a pleasure interviewing you today.
Thank
I wish we
you.
could talk for days more.
No,
I know that, you know, I know that to someone listening to this your experience, they will take away so many great nuggets and things that they can apply right away to their life.
I
And
hope so.
they will, I'm telling you, they will. And I wanted you to share with the audience, how can people get in touch with you, and if
Okay.
it is that you wanted to share any upcoming work or projects that you may be involved with right now.
Okay, so currently working on my website. So unfortunately I don't have a website to share with you guys just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like personal connection. So you can always reach out to me through my number, which is 876-368-3795. That's 876-368-3795. That's the number I use to do for business.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me on social media. You can find Wheels of Nature on social media. Instagram, as I said, it's Wheels of Nature. Facebook, it's Wheels of Nature Organic Cosmetics, I believe. And as I said, if you need to purchase the products, I do international shipping, so you don't have to be located in Jamaica to have access to the products. Just find me through my number or social media, and you can pay via PayPal if you're overseas. You can pay me via PayPal. So,
Okay. And is
yeah,
there an email address? I mean, I'll add in the show notes, but that they can
yes.
reach out to you.
Yes, they can reach out to me via email, which is Wheels of Nature by Renee Miller. Yes, that's a mouthful, but I'll change it up when I have the website and just take off the Renee Miller. But for now, it's Wheels of Nature by Renee Miller at gmail.com. But
Awesome.
call me, WhatsApp me, DM me. Yes.
Awesome. That's great. And lastly, Renee, is there any sort of quote or mantra or affirmation that you live by, even if it's just one that you can think of that gets
Yes,
through the days?
yes. There are two things that I live by. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And I'm going to say it again. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And that's by Mahatma Gandhi. And I always use that, sometimes to my detriment, because I pour myself so much into people that sometimes I lose myself. But I just saw it go. And also, when you're doing your work, work as if you're working for God and not for man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you depend on your validation to come from people, you will not be a happy camper. Has to come from within and from God. Your happiness. So
Yeah, I love it. I love it because service is important. It's when you're serving, you get more that way. When especially when
yeah,
you do it from an authentic place. So I do love that. So again, Renee, thank you so much for coming
you're
on,
welcome,
guys.
Jacqueline.
Definitely go support her, Wheels of Nature. I will be adding
Please.
to
Thank you.
contact her in the show notes. And as always, be good to yourself, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you for listening. If you've loved this episode, let's stay in touch. Head over to raquelwalters.com and subscribe to my email list so that I can send you updates on new episodes, exclusive motivational nuggets, and insider knowledge that's only shared when you join our community. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review, as I want to know your thoughts about every episode. Follow me on Instagram at Your Purpose and Business Podcast. And remember, your life is beautiful, and this is a part of your journey. So embrace it. Speak to you soon.